Ashley, and I'm going to retell the story of Lazy Jack. Once upon a time, there was a boy named Jack who lived with his mother. They were very, very poor, but the mother made enough money to get by through spinning. But Jack was very, very lazy. Whenever the sun would come out and the weather was nice, all you could find him doing was basking in the sunshine. And then when the weather wasn't nice, all you could find him doing was curled up next to the fire. And the mother couldn't get him to do anything. And so one day, she got fed up with Jack. And so she sat him down and she said, "Jack, if you don't start picking up your slack around here, I'm kicking you out." Jack was really upset about this. And so the next morning, he worked for a farmer, and the farmer rewarded him with a penny. And so he took that penny and he started on his journey home. And on his journey home, he came across a river. And being that he never really had very much money growing up, he kind of forgot that it was really worth much. And all he could think about was, wow, it sure is flat and it would be perfect for skipping. So he took the penny and skipped it across the river. And wow, it was 3 perfect skips. But as it started to sink, he realized, oh no, that was exactly what I had just worked all day for. So he went home empty-handed to his mother, and his mother said, "Jack, you should have kept that penny in your pocket." And all Jack would say was, "Well, I'll do it next time." So the next morning, he woke up and he worked for a cowkeeper this time. And the cowkeeper rewarded him with a jar of milk. And so he took the jar of milk, and just as his mother said, he put it in his pocket. And so he walked all the way home with the jar in his pocket. But when he got home, he realized all the milk had spilled out of his jar. And the mother said, "Jack, you should have put it on your head." And Jack said, "I'll do it next time." So the next morning, he got up and he worked for another farmer. But this time, the farmer gave him a cream cheese for his hard work. And so, just as his mother said, he carried it all the way home on his head. And so he walked just like this. And then when he got home, by the time he looked at it, it was all spoiled. And whatever that was left, it was all matted in his hair. So the next morning, he got up and he worked for a baker. But all the baker had to give him was a tomcat. So Jack took the cat and carried it in his hands like this and tried to carry it all the way home. But while he was carrying the cat started clawing and scratching him all over. And so he let go of the cat, and the cat ran off, and he lost everything again. He went home empty-handed. So Jack's mom said to him, "You silly ninnerhammer, you should have tied it with a string and walked it all the way home." And so Jack said, "Well, I'll do it next time." So the next morning, he worked for a butcher. And the butcher rewarded him with a mutton. And so, just as his mother had said, he tied the mutton with a string and dragged it up behind him all the way home. Well, as you can imagine, the mutton wasn't very good after it had dragged all the way through the dirt for a mile. So, his mother was very upset because it was now Saturday, and all they had for dinner the next day was going to be cabbage, just a little bit left. So, very frustrated, she said, "Jack, you should have carried it on your shoulder." So Monday morning came around, and this was his very last chance to bring something back to his mom. And if he didn't, he was getting kicked out. So the cattle keeper he worked for the next morning gave him a donkey. And as you can imagine, carrying a donkey over your shoulders is kind of hard. So, but he knew he had to do a good job of it because it was his last chance to show his mom. So he took the two front legs of the donkey and he hoisted it up over his back, and he waddled kind of awkwardly for a while trying to get home. Well, as he's walking like this, he passes this house. And in this house, it's owned by a rich man. And the rich man has an only daughter. And this daughter is beautiful. And so, but the only problem is that she's deaf and dumb. The doctors, she had never laughed before in her life. And the doctor said that she would never hear again unless she laughed. So she just happened to be glancing out the window where she saw this sight of Jack with a donkey with one leg going up like this and another going up like this, and Jack's going like this. And she just started bursting out with laughter. And she, all of a sudden, miraculously, she could hear and she could speak again. And so Jack and the daughter ended up getting married, and they lived happily ever after. And the mother lived in a big house with them, and they never had to worry about money ever again.
All right. Very
All
good.
right.